So, I had this dream, and I believe in, I think that dreams are trying to tell us something a little deeper, maybe something that like has gone so deep down into your subconscious level of thinking that it gets expressed through like images and stuff. And so in my dream, I was in a bookstore, and I don't know why, but I felt like I was being led a certain direction. Like I knew where I was going. And I remember in my dream, I was walking through the bookstore and observing. It was like this old Harry Potter looking place with like really cool dark red Persian rugs like everywhere, and everything's all like old oak wood and fancy, super fancy. It was like I was in Harvard or something. And so I felt kind of out of place. But I walked upstairs, and as I was walking upstairs, it got like really modern. So I was like, this is the biggest freaking Barnes and Noble I've ever been in. And I was still being pulled in a certain direction. And so finally I found my way to like the medical textbooks. And I remember it was a little bit towards the bottom, and it kind of took some searching, but I was going through the books and I pulled out Grey's Anatomy, and I was like, damn, this is the stuff. This is what I wanted. I don't know why, but it was like the coolest book to me in my dream, and I knew it was important. And I opened it up, and it was filled with money. And I was like, whoa, that's awesome. And so shortly after that, I woke up, and I don't really know what it means. All right, well, I bought the book after that, but it actually didn't have money. It cost money.
First, I have a question.
Yeah.
Isn't Grey's Anatomy a TV show?
It is.
So
Grey's Anatomy, the book. It's also an old book. So it was
okay,
like
all right,
one
there
of the
you go.
first, most detailed anatomy books from the 1800s. And
this is the answers
super
we
extensive.
needed here.
Yeah, it's a really cool book. Personally, I found it hard to read because it was written a long time ago. I don't know if it was the 1800s or the early 1900s, but it was like one of the first ones to go through every aspect of every bone, different functions and origin, insertion sites of muscles and stuff like that, and like every single little detailed part of the body. It's crazy.
See, this is why we have you on the podcast, is because you know stuff like this. This is what the people came here for. Well, that is interesting. That's interesting. I learned about a new book, and it's also interesting your dream that you found some money in that book.
Yeah.
Did you actually go buy it? Or
I
did.
did.
You? Okay.
Yeah. I went to Barnes and Noble, and shockingly,
you followed
the
dream.
It was very different from the dream. It was it was a little underwhelming compared. But hey,
to be expected. Life doesn't always meet that dream quality.
Exactly.
But
it's what you make it.
Exactly. That's what we're going to talk about today is mindset. And this could honestly be another pillar of health, because mental health is very important, as many people would know if you have suffered from any deficiency in mental health, whether that be a diagnosable disease or just, feeling down and not yourself. It's a real thing. And that's why trying to practice a positive outlook on life and general positivity toward everything that you can be a great way to ensure that kind of thing doesn't really happen to you. Or I wouldn't say ensure, but help to prevent.
Definitely. I mean, there are no guarantees. Or
there's
that
like
anchor?
real disease things that happen to people, and probably people who didn't ask for it with negativity. I don't know though.
Yeah, well, there are things you can do though, and mindset's a big thing. Even when ailments strike, or if they strike, or I mean, it doesn't have to be an ailment. It could just be a tough time in life, going through some stuff, maybe job change, or it's relationship related. Maybe you're moving even. That's a pretty stressful event. And so mindset really comes in handy, because that's what you fall back on at the start of every day, at the end of every day, to help keep you going in the right direction, as opposed to maybe becoming stagnant and letting time pass by in hopes of like the situation being different.
Yeah, you can't just sit there and wait for things to get better on your own. You must take action. Your actions must align with what you want if you want that to happen. You can't just hope. You got to put it all together.
Yeah, for sure. And when it comes to mindset, it's the self-limiting stuff that really keeps us fighting the fight. It's like I don't know, different fallacies we have in the way we think. So we have a little list right here. And so we can take a look at the first one. This is all or nothing thinking. So yo-yo dieting or nighttime overeating. So just thinking that you have to go all in one direction in order to be successful, or considering yourself a failure if you didn't go 100% in one direction. So, for example, you go on this new fad diet where you only eat bananas and you drink water with kiwi infused essence. You do that for a week.
Good.
Oh yeah, and you do that for a whole week straight, and you know that's your effort to lose some weight, and you end up losing weight, but you feel pretty freaking terrible. So then the next week you go and you start eating massive amounts of food in order to compensate for that extreme act the week before.
And it doesn't even have to be on that large of a scale. It could just be like a nightly thing. Say you are strictly watching your calories and you have met your goal for the day through foods that would otherwise be on your menu, but you can't help yourself but have a couple of cookies after for dessert, even though you're going to put yourself over your calorie goal. Some people will, or the healthy way to think about this would be to chalk up your losses and forget about it the next day. It's not going to be a deal breaker in the long term. If you are in it for any real reasons for yourself, you should be in it for a lifelong endeavor, not just a temporary thing to get you into shape and then figure it's going to keep you there. So a healthy way to think about it would be to just move on and really not think about it. But some people might look at it a couple of other ways. The next day they might choose to not eat anything at all. So they're going to make up for those extra 200 calories by eating absolutely nothing, or maybe very little. Say they're going to have 3 almonds and a handful of spinach, something like that. That, again, is not going to be the best way to go about things. And in the other direction, say you eat those 2 cookies and then you figure out, well, I already had the 2. Might as well have them all. And you eat the entire box. That is not going to help you out in any way either, other than satisfy that sweet tooth. But that sweet tooth is not always your friend.
Nope, that's short-term satisfaction.
STS.
Long-term sadness. LTS.
See, it's like you take out a auto title loan and you buy yourself a bunch of nice clothes, and then you can't pay it off and you get kicked out of your house, but you're looking good. Hey, wait, that might be long-term satisfaction, honestly.
Definitely.
If looking good is the goal.
Yeah. I mean, I want to look fly.
You
I'll
already
take
do.
that
Don't
over
worry
shelter.
about it. Don't worry about it. You already do.
I can look fly in the wild. Look, there's a wild John looking fly.
Look, there's wild cheese.
Yeah. You wouldn't find cheese in the wild.
Not yet. We're going to genetically engineer a cheese plant.
We are the pioneers. Well,
you can do anything you want to, though, which should also play into your mindset, is a undying belief in yourself. Give me 2 good reasons right now why you couldn't become an astronaut if you really, really wanted to, from right now.
Why I couldn't?
Yeah, tell us why you couldn't. Start with your age right now.
Okay, well, I'm 24.
That is by no means too old to get the education required.
That's true. They say you're never too old to start.
And you can even start before the education or during with networking. You can grease some palms. I bet you, much like any other job, it can be more about who you know than what you know.
Yeah. Well, in many cases, I found that online, like having an online presence goes a long way in that. Like we were talking about a music producer the other day, Misha, and we were talking about how he like built up his reputation online for a really long time before he ever got anywhere with his craft. He was all throughout the forums, he'd be answering questions and just talking to people and helping them out. And I think that was really cool because he really just put in his time. And so he had to have like a really good mindset and belief in himself, or at least just dedication to his craft, because that was always there.
And at a certain point, or I'm sure through a lot of that journey on his own, he had a regular job as well. So he probably wasn't able to focus all of his attention on this. And then I'm sure there was some point in his career where he started making enough money, probably after Periphery was formed, and was able to make it a full-time thing. So just imagine what he could have done if he was able to focus all his energy. Maybe he was, though. I really don't know. I don't know his biography.
Yeah.
Maybe he was full-time producing / interneting.
Yeah, I mean, that's also a possibility. Depends on what his background really is. But I mean, there's a lot of different like success stories that way where people are just very singular in their focus and they decide to set aim at one thing and like go full charge at it. It's really, really cool. And I think that is seen very frequently in the weightlifting community too. A lot of people who have this goal of whether it's like lifting a certain amount of weight or being a certain weight.
Well, let's just think about some of the recreational athletes that you may have encountered in your life. I'm sure you have met the guy in the gym, or maybe even a buddy of yours from the gym, that will always give you an excuse why he can't work legs.
Oh,
Even though he comes and shows up to the gym and he does some lifting, but he's just never doing legs. Compared to the guy who has the built physique and he is strong all around, who shows up there every day and works everything. That's kind of similar. Or I don't know, it's just kind of, I'm getting back to the all or nothing. It's closer to the all than the nothing if you want to be successful with weightlifting. So I don't know, maybe we're running into some paradoxes here with our philosophy and we're going to have to iron them out.
well,
Do we go all or nothing, or do we go some of nothing, or do we go none of nothing?
check it out. This is what I think. I think that ultimately it boils down to balance. So if you're going to go ham in any one thing, for example, weightlifting or bodybuilding, you're going to go ham and become a bodybuilder. Obviously, that takes a huge amount of dedication and persistence.
I must say, normally, when you do get into a sport such as bodybuilding, you also get into more than just the lifts. You start to educate yourself on the science behind and how to optimize your training. So I feel like at that point, maybe you can separate the ones who really want it from the ones who are more, I don't know what the word is, casual.
Yeah, definitely. There are different levels, but I think that something that's common amongst the total group would be the need for balance. And so that means taking your strenuous activity or your activity that requires a huge amount of engagement and balancing it out with something that allows you to relax and letting your mind and your nervous system go into what's called a parasympathetic state where you can rest and digest instead of fight or flight.
Like drinking.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good one.
Yoga. Got to do that yoga. Things that allow you to kind of just simmer down, quiet. So we touched on it a little bit on the 3 pillars of health series, and that was meditation and how that can really hugely benefit the mind as far as stress, especially stress that keeps you up at night.
Yeah, and you know a thing or two about that?
Yes, I do. Actually, it just recently happened to me, and I think I was telling you about it last time I was over, And I've just been having this struggle with sleep because of a little bit of a weird anxiety feeling that hits. And it's a totally normal thing. It's just something that needs to be addressed, because if you let these things slip by, they tend to build up. So I took that feeling of stress and I used it as an opportunity to refocus myself and get back into meditating and journaling, and mostly just being more mindful, because I didn't have a big plan to assault my anxiety or anything. I just decided I was going to start with one thing. And so I started with deep breathing, which really, really helped. And I incorporated yoga when I felt like it. I didn't want to force anything because my mindset is one of balance. I used to have an all or nothing mentality for a lot of things. I used to say I have no chill, because it was like I either drink 6 or 8 cups of coffee a day or I kick caffeine out of my life completely. Like there's no in between.
But in certain scenarios, that might be a good thing, is what I think. Think of when it had benefited you. Think back to the guitar. You would not have gotten as good as you did, as fast as you did, if you did not use that all or nothing thinking. So we're back to the paradox.
Yep.
The balance should be found in life, but some things you may benefit from putting your full effort toward, such as the guitar or learning a skill or working out. Working out is one of the best ones that you can choose to put your full effort toward, because the required amount of effort is such a short amount relative to your day that there's really not a lot of people who are too busy to get at least that in.
Yeah. I mean,
unless your priorities are that you cannot spend any of your free time doing anything that is not extremely comfortable.
Well, I've encountered people like that, and it's unfortunate, but those people are out there, and I think they just never developed a connection with their bodies and with physical activity.
Hopefully yet.
Yeah, yet. And I really hope that they take to it. And so I always encourage those people when I meet them to stick with it. And like we spoke about in the last episode, maybe set a goal that is so easy it has to get done. Like if they did 10 push-ups every Monday for 2 years and that inspired them to get a gym membership, well, I'll take it.
And that's where it starts for a lot of people, is just with baby steps, starting on the road to the all or nothing. But it's very important that all or nothing activity or whatever it is in your life, it should be something positive toward either your happiness or just your general fulfillment in life. I wouldn't recommend going all or nothing toward things that don't satisfy you and make you feel good. Can you think of any instance in which you would want to spend all of your effort and your blood, sweat, and tears on something that didn't do something back for you?
No, man, it would definitely have to do something.
That's slavery.
Right?
Is what that is.
That I saw this video of people who sit around in a factory putting socks on like sock holders, packaging them. And that's their whole day, every single day. That's slavery. That's totally unfulfilling. No, I would not choose to dedicate all of my energy towards something that doesn't give back to me.
You choose your struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're going to struggle either way.
Yeah, so I have been here before in my life, and I'm sure many, 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 many people have as well, is doing a job that you don't like. John's been there. I've been there. Everybody I know has been there pretty much. And if you haven't been there yet, maybe you can avoid it with some advice that you learn here in this episode. Because I'll tell you what, it's not great. Not great. Going to a place for I think above 30 hours is egregious. But 40 hours, the norm, come on, that's a lot of time to be spending doing something that is, yes, going to give you the ability to house and clothe and feed yourself some essential human needs. But if you hate doing it and you can see your future being bleak and dull, well, what's the point? You might as well start it all starts with knowing what you like and what you could justify expending a high amount of energy on. And that definitely takes some thinking.
Not everybody knows their passion right out of the gate. It took me a long time to find mine. And I mean, hell, I tried out a couple of different passions before I ended on this one.
Guitar, man. God.
Yeah, dude, I used to collect insects too. Like, I've had a lot of passions. Yeah, and homies. What up, homies? But you know, that's one of those things where it's worth finding your passion, and you do that by exploring your interests. I know that's pretty cliche, but give that the time and energy. You're not going to find it on Netflix, and if you do, then good for you. I'm glad you found it.
Yeah, man. As far as productivity for me goes, I think Netflix was really the first thing that went. I can't remember the last time that I have involved myself with like a series on like Netflix or Hulu or whatever. Yeah. It's just like, it's fun and it's entertaining, but it is so not productive. And especially if you don't know what your passion is, just like you said, watching TV is probably not going to tell you. You're going to have to go, and maybe watching TV might give you an idea, but continuing to watch TV is not going to make you better or any closer to achieving any goals in that area. So follow your heart, I guess, and just, if you like something, go and give it a bit more of a chance and see if it could be something that can turn into a bigger part of your life. But when trying to pick something that you would want to do, like as a career, for instance, not just a hobby, you must consider a couple other factors on the side of what you love to do. And that is if you're good at it and if you can get paid to do it. So finding the sweet spot that has all of those qualities, that could be a recipe for a plan in which to make your life something far more enjoyable for yourself and far more fulfilling.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't even have to be in terms of a job. So like sometimes the payment you get out of it, you receive from it, could be something a little bit more along the lines of a feeling of fulfillment, which is ultimately, well, meaningfulness is ultimately the goal of life, I think, in my opinion, because if you live a meaningful life, it holds a lot of value to you personally.
Well, yeah, just think if you die and you look back at your life with nothing but regret.
Yeah, that would suck. So if you lived a meaningful life, that wouldn't be you.
Even if things didn't work out the way you planned as well, you could look back and say, I gave it my best shot.
Yeah. And
that's the thing, you got to give it your best too.
Exactly.
Can't just say you did.
Give it your true best effort. One of the pillars of exercise. So a meaningful life doesn't mean it's going to be happy all the time. It means that you decided to choose your struggle and not just let life choose the struggle for you in way of, like, I don't know, health issues, family issues, relationship issues, whatever kind of issues. You decided to struggle on maybe bettering yourself as a person and therefore bettering yourself in terms of all those things I just listed.
Well, that's definitely true. It's not always going to be enjoyable in pursuit of something that is important to you, because usually things worth doing aren't going to be easy. That's just the way it goes. So you can't expect it to just fall in your lap or be handed to you on a silver platter. You're going to have to do some legwork. You're going to have to scrub some porta potties. Oh, and whatever it is you're going to be doing, you're going to be scrubbing porta potties.
Oh, wow, yeah. Those guys really do love their jobs. Like, it was weird to watch.
All right, and that can tie directly into perspective.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
If you can take a positive perspective on things, or even just your unique perspective might be just naturally more positive than that of somebody else. So think of someone who comes from extreme poverty and maybe grew up with nothing and had to dumpster dive for food or something like that, like really rough, struggling, especially financially, and then going and being able to get a job that involves some serious dirty work like cleaning a porta potty, but you're paid and you can buy food and everything like that. Just look at the difference between those two ways of life. I would be ecstatic too if I had come from that. So that is another time that you can think about instances like that and just really be grateful if you've got more than that, because there are a lot of people who have had or are currently having some serious struggles that you can probably not even imagine.
Yeah.
So you got to be like, if you are waking up feeling good every day and you've got a place to live and you've got food to eat, you should really be grateful for all of that first and foremost.
Yeah. It reminds me of a saying that I know. It's like I felt really bad when I lost both of my shoes until I met the man with no legs or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it goes. You gotta see that simple first world problems, I guess you could call them, while are nothing to ignore. You still, everybody's got their place in life. Yeah, you got you to know that that's going to be a thing. Just appreciate what you've got when you've got something as well.
Yeah,
is what I think.
And then it also reminded me of a story about the bro Lord and Savior, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So there's a really popular story about him, and he tells it all the time. Or if you're on YouTube and you type in Arnold, you'll probably hear this story where he says, I was always smiling in the gym. And they ask me why I'm always smiling, and it's because every rep brings me closer. And he has this attitude where he's happy because he gets to work out, whereas the other people, they have to work out.
Well, the Russians did.
Yeah, exactly. So he had a very particular perspective that allowed him to achieve that very specific goal which he had envisioned for himself. So I'm not saying that you have to develop Arnold's mentality and be happy that you get to work out. That might not be conducive to your goal, but I mean, it would never hurt. It would never hurt to try and at least adopt a similar way of thinking, in that you can take what is something that's difficult and challenging in your life and think of it as a really good thing.
Yeah, put that toward whatever in your life. I don't care if it's baking. Like, if you really love baking and you are willing to put in the time and effort needed to get good at it, then you should enjoy the process.
Dude, it's like saving money. That's freaking tough. Like, just start your savings account and leave it untouched. That'll take some discipline, just like anything else that's beneficial. It's going to take some hard work and some dedication to the cause.
But you'll be so happy that you started that savings account when your refrigerator breaks or something like that, when you have an unexpected expense.
Happens all the time, man. It's actually expected for me.
Same thing in the gym. Like, you never know when you're going to have to deadlift in front of somebody.
That also happens all the time.
You must always be in peak condition is what I'm saying.
That's an interesting lift to go for when you're trying to strut your stuff.
Yeah, you just go out in the intersection and there's like a barbell there and it's like impeding traffic. How else are you going to move it?
Yeah. I mean, definitely don't roll it. It wouldn't fit through the aisles. You have to lift it, man. That's the only way. But when you lift it, just make sure to lower it in the same spot.
And make sure to use your back and twist.
Yeah. Fast jerking motion.
Yes.
That's the key to any great lift.
That is the Iron Will proper lift. We are actually sold the method to employers worldwide. They will now be teaching the workforce the new proper lift. So ignore all that leg stuff. use your back.
Nobody needs to be doing legs around here.
It's too hard. No, all right. We're getting.
Actually, we advocate the training of legs.
We do advocate the training of legs.
Train your legs.
Train everything. Train
your vegetables.
everything that you want. Yes, eat lots and lots of vegetables. Be on the lookout for the Iron Will Collective free ebook on nutrition that will be coming out very, very soon. I really hope all of you check it out, and maybe you'll even learn something.
Also, you can check us out at theartofbeingfit.com. That is our website. That's also where you would be able to find that ebook along with all of our various social medias. So if it's social media, chances are we're on it, especially if it's LinkedIn and TikTok.
Yeah, we have actually made 3 TikTok accounts. One of them is our meme account run by Ian. And
Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, shout out to him. Also, just wanted to mention that we are having to cut our episode down a little bit short today, so we're going to finish it up right here. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we finish?
Believe in yourself, and the easiest way to do that is go watch Rocky. It will inspire you to dig deep within your soul and realize that you are a well of potential and that you can realize this potential through action. And there's going to be a lot of roadblocks, but those are to be expected.
All right, this podcast is going to get a little bit longer because we've run into another paradox. John wants us to go watch Netflix, and Rocky has like an 8-part series. There's no way I'm just watching number 1. Thank you all for tuning in again this week. We will see you again next week.
Bye.